Welcome back to the podcast. In today's episode, I am sharing with you 10 reasons why I stayed overweight for so long. 10 reasons, plain and simple, why I stayed overweight for so long. And it's so simple to look at it with hindsight. When you're stuck in it, it's really difficult to see things clearly. However, in this episode, you and me, if you're struggling with weight loss, are going to just take out the emotion and we're going to look at things in black and white. And hopefully, by the end of this episode, you will feel unstuck. If you're struggling to lose weight, this episode is for you. By the time you listen to this, the kids are back at school. I've still got a week left to go. So Arthur and Emily are still out, and we have one more day planned of a day out together. So we're going to go to the beach, and hopefully Joe will come with us, and we will just have loads of fun and go wild and go for a swim. And I don't care what the weather's going to be like. And it's just going to be such an Irish day. It might be raining. We might have Tato and tea on the beach. And it's just fabulous. I love Ireland so much. So let's get stuck in without further ado. Number one, top of my list, I was drinking too much. I was drinking too much. Drinking on a Friday night and a Saturday night stopped me from losing weight properly. Now, back when I was drinking alcohol, I don't drink anymore. I gave up on the 1st of May 2022. I never in a million years would have admitted to myself that my drinking consumption was leading me to a lack of results on my body. I never would have admitted that to you. I would have preferred to have picked apart every other thing that I was doing in my life other than admit that alcohol was keeping me overweight. But the truth was, it was keeping me overweight. What would happen for me was that I would drink on a Friday night and drink on a Saturday night. I drink rosé mostly, or Prosecco or champagne. And it wasn't just the fact that I was drinking and that was making me puffy and bloated. It was also how much it affected my eating habits. So most of the time on a Friday, I would probably want to skip dinner if we were staying in, because skipping dinner meant that we could just chill in the garden and drink wine and chat, and we didn't have to concern ourselves with making a big dinner. We'd sort the kids out for the dinner, and then I would just want to be drinking wine, and I'd be thinking I'll get something later. But that always led me to getting a takeaway. But I always felt kind of when you were a bit tipsy and I'd had a few drinks that I wasn't really making the decision. It was kind of like, oh, well, I'm just getting a takeaway, but I haven't really made the decision because I'm tipsy. So really drinking 2 nights a week made me eat more takeaways, made me want to eat takeaways the night I was drinking. When I was drinking, before I would go to bed, I would most of the time go into the kitchen and make myself a cheese and crisp wrap. If it wasn't takeaways, I would definitely be eating extra food when I was drinking. The next day, really hungover, I would eat more food than normal. I'd crave salty food and carby food. I'd want to have maybe chips, or I would just crave things I wouldn't normally crave. So this kind of kept me locked in a very diet culture-y space because I would drink at the weekends, I would eat more at the weekends. To counteract that effect, I would eat way less on a Monday, restrict, which would cause me then to inevitably eat more food at nighttime sitting on the couch because I wasn't able to cope with the small amount of food I was eating, or else I would starve myself during the day, but I'd crack by dinner time and have 2 portions. So I can really, when I look back, track back from the alcohol all the ways it affected my weight, my body, not just because I was drinking so much at the weekends. So number one has to be for me, the reason I stayed overweight for so long was because I was drinking every Friday and every Saturday, and that led to me staying overweight, not just because I was drinking so much, but also of the food I was eating and how much it affected my habits and my cravings. Number two would be that I was eating way too much unprocessed food. So I was eating too much healthy food. I was eating too much food. I would mostly eat too much food at dinner time and at weekends. I loved massive portions at dinner time. This just helped me comfort. This helped me feel safe. It helped me have comfort. It helped me soothe myself after a long day at work. And this caused me to stay overweight for many, many years. I loved massive bowls of pasta, massive bowls of rice. I loved carbs so much. I would overeat. I would overeat at healthy food. Because I was drinking at the weekends, I'd have unusual cravings. And I mean unusual, like as in they were caused by alcohol. So for a normal body, that was unusual. It would just make me eat. Like on a Sunday, I would want to, if I wasn't eating unhealthy, I'd have like more. I might have like a second sandwich, or I'd have more snacks. I would just eat more food. I'd have like a massive lunch. So one of the reasons I stayed overweight for so long was because I was eating too much food. I was eating too much food. The third reason I stayed overweight for so long was because I was eating too much sugar, too much unhealthy food. So drinking, I would be craving crisps, biscuits, sugary stuff. I'd be hungover and wanting to go to a cafe, and I just want like a scone or something from the bakery just to help my hangover. So I would eat too much sugary foods at weekends and crisps and biscuits, especially on a Sunday, especially if I was hungover. And I was also eating too much sugary food during the week at nighttime after dinner. So already you can see from a scientific point of view, from a very black and white point of view, how I stayed overweight just by these three things. I was drinking too much, I was eating too much healthy food, and I was eating too much unhealthy food. So already you've got it. And it doesn't take that much for your body to gain weight, let alone for your body to stay the same. So if you're overweight and you are just doing those few things, you mightn't be gaining weight, but you're not losing weight. The only way to lose weight and to take that goal seriously is to address these issues and ask yourself, am I drinking too much? Am I eating too much healthy food? Like, am I just eating too much food? And am I eating too much processed food? The other reason, number four, that caused me to stay overweight for so long was that I had no boundaries. Because I had no boundaries, I didn't have very much time for myself. There was nothing solid in my week that was a non negotiable. All my stuff was movable. So I didn't have a good structure to work out. I didn't have a good structure for any downtime, for hobbies or connections. I didn't have any work boundaries. So effectively, I was always on. I was always available via my phone if I wasn't on my desktop. So because I had no boundaries, I was always feeling very stressed out and overwhelmed. And when I feel stressed out and overwhelmed, I eat too much, I drink too much. So it goes back to those three habits. So it's all just becoming one vicious cycle. I drink too much, therefore I eat too much. I eat too much processed foods. I have no boundaries, which makes me stress and overwhelm. So just like points 1 to 4 are just bringing me around in a vicious cycle. Also, because I had no boundaries, I didn't have any time. And when I don't have time, I don't work out consistently. And that also keeps me staying stuck. It also makes me want to stay up late because I had no boundaries. I had no time for myself during the day. Life was only just bearable. At nighttime, I wouldn't want to go to bed. So I would stay up late, therefore making myself wrecked for the next day, therefore craving more sugary foods or just craving more foods, and therefore bringing me back to square one. Do you know what? For the first time in a long time last week, I was absolutely wrecked tired. I got a shocking night's sleep the night before. I was up at 6 a.m. to drive to Dublin to go for a pickleball tournament. I played in the tournament all day long. I drove back to Dublin. I was feeling a bit under the weather. I was so sick. And for the first time in a long time, I opened up the press and I ate 5 digestive-y, biscuity, chocolatey things in a row, like they were little mini bars. For me, that moment wasn't about, oh, well, what are those 5 things that's hardly anything. I don't have that mindset anymore. For me, it was just from a observational, non-judgmental, observational way. It showed me and reinforced to me what happens when you don't get enough rest and enough sleep. You're fighting extra stuff. You're putting up barriers for yourself. You're stopping yourself and adding two weights to your back before you even get started. I was trying to get into a good routine when I was overweight, but I was staying up late. So I was already on the back foot. I was already starting a race with my 2 feet tied together. Number 5 was that I was really stressed out. So the stress and the overwhelm, the stress that I wasn't facing was making me want to comfort myself because I was stressed. And when you're stressed, you don't have any tools in your box to de-stress. That's why you stay stressed. That's why I was staying stressed, because I didn't have any tools to help me de-stress. So therefore, the only thing I knew how to get relief from stress was to eat. So again, one of the reasons why I stayed overweight was because I was stressed out, and that fed into drinking too much, eating too much, eating too much unhealthy food, and being so stressed out, having no boundaries. It just kept me stuck in a vicious cycle. The same with overwhelm. Overwhelm created by having no boundaries in place, therefore feeling overwhelmed all of the time because I would say yes to everybody else and no to myself. It's that classic people pleasing mode that happens to many of us. And that's number 6. One of the reasons why I stayed overweight for so long is because I was an absolute people pleaser. When I was a people pleaser, I was very disconnected from how I felt about things and very out of tune with my gut. So what would happen is things would come along, or people would ask me to do things, or have a call with them at a certain time, or they would email me or message me at a certain time, and I would just respond to everybody as they got in touch with me. Now, rather than, there's also a boundary issue there, but there's also a people pleasing element there. I was really, really afraid to not be liked. So a big driver for me in responding to people was that I had to respond to them in a way that would keep them liking me, which is a really messed up way for me to have lived my life, because it just means that I had been putting everybody else's opinions and feelings before my own. Now, that also means that nobody got to see my true personality and my true colors, because I was a bit of a shapeshifter, changing for each person that I came into contact with, which means there was no authentic me. And even though it wasn't coming from a bad place, I was just so scared to be myself because I was afraid of not being enough. It still is inauthentic. So this kept me overweight for a very long time, people pleasing, because this led me to feel very unhappy, which led me to feel very stressed out, which caused me to drink too much and eat too much, and therefore stay overweight. Number 7, I stayed overweight for so long was because I was so all or nothing. I was either 2 feet in, all in, or I was completely 2 feet out. There was never really any balance for me. Like, I'd have a good day during the week, and I would say good, like not really meaning good, bad. I hate those terms in terms of being healthy. But I would have a healthy day and an unhealthy day. And I was just so flip-floppy. Like, I'd have a couple of days where I would attempt at being healthy, and then I'd have a 4-day weekend. I'd have a workout session where I gave it all, everything, and post about it on Instagram and just tell everybody around me what a great session it was and how amazing it was. And then I would do nothing for 4 days. But there was just no balance for me. I would drink 2 bottles of wine instead of having a glass. I would eat 2 packets of biscuits instead of having 2 biscuits. It was just all or nothing with everything. Now, for me, a big driver for me into all or nothing was a mindset issue. Many reasons, actually. One, just feeling so stressed out. Most of my problems, most of the barriers for me around weight loss was stress. Um, all or nothing. I stayed stuck in that all or nothing place, mostly because I felt so stressed out, and mostly because I wasn't tackling the real issues that were going on and that were stopping me from getting fit and healthy. Number 8, I focused on weight loss for so long instead of becoming fit and healthy. It's amazing. Like when I focused on weight loss, I'm zoomed into one result on my body, but my actions and my habits give me the results of my body. So if I'm overweight, you'd say to me, well, something got you overweight. What is it? And it would be my habits that I have every week. I was so zoomed in on my weight and less zoomed in on my habits. And if I had changed that and zoomed out and forgotten about the result and focused more on what got me that result, I would have gotten the results that I wanted a hell of a lot quicker. I stayed too obsessed about my weight instead of getting obsessed about my habits, instead of getting passionate about my habits and looking at my habits in a very non judgmental way and observing them from a place of non judgment observation, looking at my habits, looking at what is causing my body to be out of shape, and fixing that. I would have gotten into shape quicker many, many years ago. When we focus on our bodies, we are focusing on a result. We are focusing on an outcome. Something gave us that outcome. That something is our habits. So when we focus on our habits and we work on them, we will get the result that we want. That'll come. When we focus on getting fit and healthy, we're focused on the whole of our health. We're focused on reducing stress, reducing overwhelm, working on our mindset, building our confidence, working on our fitness, on our nutrition, on our self-care. And all those action steps in all those areas in Thrive Academy, we call them PAMs, that is going to get you fit and healthy. And in that fit and healthy is feeling good in your clothes. Versus getting up and down at the scales, getting frustrated that you're not getting the result that you want, but not really going all in and looking at the habits and getting very straight with yourself about the habits that got you there in the first place and being committed to changing your habits until you get the change in your body that you want. Number 9, I was dabbling. Looking back now, even though I was very obsessed about weight loss and always thinking about it and talking about it, I was still dabbling. I was more unhealthy than I was healthy. I was drinking too much. I was eating too much. I wasn't consistent with my exercise. I wasn't committed to reducing my stress and overwhelm. I wasn't committed to creating boundaries, but I was obsessed with weight loss. And that kind of led me to think that I was all in, that I was trying really hard. And the truth was, I wasn't really trying hard. I was thinking hard. I was thinking hard and getting annoyed and negative about my body. But I wasn't really doing what was required to get the result that I want. And that was a big realization for me. Was I willing to do what was required to get the results that I really, really wanted? And in the end, I was. But back then, I realize now I wasn't, or I didn't know that I wasn't. I didn't actually know. I would have loved to have listened to somebody say to me, look, you're not really going after what it is that you want. If you were really committed to weight loss, you would start focusing on learning how to eat less. And I say learning because a lot of the reasons why we overeat is because we're really stressed out and overwhelmed and we use it as a comfort. So it's not just as simple as saying, well, I'll just eat less, but being committed to healing your relationship with food, being committed to creating boundaries, letting go of the all or nothing mindset and building habits over time will get you results. But I was just doing the same thing over and over again and sincerely expecting a different result. I was just staying in that place of drinking too much, trying to eat healthy during the week, but really just restricting and binging and restricting and binging and just going around in circles. So It's taking yourself out of that loop and getting serious. How bad do you want it? That's what it comes down to, doesn't it? How bad do you want it? And number 10, I was complicating the whole thing. Like, I was that person who wanted to go into the detail with food. Like, what foods can I eat that will help me lose weight? And I complicated nutrition so much. How is it that I stayed overweight while I was eating omelets and lettuce sandwiches and cauliflower rice? In my phase of cauliflower rice and lettuce, like sandwiches that replace the bread and put lettuce instead, and omelets and carb free dinners, how was it that I was at my most heavy when I was doing all that stuff? I was at my most heavy when I was dieting, and I'm in the best shape I've ever been, allowing all food groups in. I was overcomplicating the food. I didn't realize it at the time. I was overcomplicating food to distract myself from the real problems that really needed to be addressed. Stress, overwhelm, a lack of boundaries, people pleasing. These were the issues that I needed to address. Instead of addressing those things, I just got obsessed about how many calories were in a salad. Should I go carb free for dinner? Why am I not losing weight even though I'm having an omelette every morning for breakfast? Versus, why am I stressed out? Why do I have no time for myself? Why am I inconsistent with my workouts? And why does my heart feel like it's going to come out of my chest? Why do I feel like I'm about to have a panic attack every morning when I wake up? I hope you found this helpful. If you are struggling to lose weight, I really recommend you ditch the diet culture mentality that is holding all of us back. You focus on the real action steps that are going to move the needle for you. When you start to focus on creating inner peace, contentment, and joy, when you focus on becoming centered, calm, and grounded, when you focus on reducing the stress and overwhelm and letting go of the all or nothing mindset, you will become fit and healthy. When you become fit and healthy, your body will naturally get into shape, and it will be the outcome of those fantastic habits that you're doing, and those habits will become your life, and you will then be fit and healthy and feel fantastic in your clothes. I hope this helps you. If it did, I would really love it if you could share it with a friend or rate the podcast wherever you're listening to it. And if you'd like my free guide, you can go to jessicacooke.ie/challenge. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have the most wonderful day. All my love.